Hello and welcome to my channel. It's Darcy's Misadventures with Mixed Media, and today I'm doing Defember for day 17, flip out page and old photos. And I've got, for my old photos, I've just got some pages from, what is this, National Geographic. So I've just picked out pages that are kind of like have something that covers the whole thing, basically. So there's some color, but you don't have to do it that way. But the reason I like the National Geographic pages is because they're thick enough to withstand what I'm about to put them through. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and then I watched Luise, and she was distressing some of her photographs, and I was like, well, I don't have that photo paper, but I can do something kind of similar-ish, just at least for the background, with some National Geographic pages. If you have asthma, you probably cannot do this because it includes sanding. I would have to recommend that you wear a mask if you're going to be sanding things with ink and paint on them, because I will be having paint on some of these. And right now I am just kind of like trying things out, seeing what I like. It's just playtime at the moment. Playtime in the studio. We like that. Alright, maybe if I turn this way you could see it a little bit better. The hardest part is holding the piece of paper on over the stencil easily, you know, keeping it in the same place. That's the hardest part about this. I'm using a 280 grit sandpaper. It still gives me you know, kind of a weave texture, because even though it's getting on the stencil itself, it also, you know, it scrapes along the whole way. Does that make sense? You know. So if I go two directions, then it almost looks like some paper weaving kind of a, you know, it adds more texture, let's just put it that way. So that's the first thing I'm doing. And then I have been just kind of either adding some inks or some transparent paint or whatever. I think I will, you don't have to use expensive paint. Any paint that you like put really thin should potentially be transparent. And that's kind of what I'm doing. You could use a baby wipe to spread it. I'm using a palette knife. I've also in the past used my gel plate to get some paint on these pieces, and just add layers basically, because this is just for collage papers that I'm going to then turn in. I'm just going to use them as collage papers basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh my word, why is that so hard? Alright, what is, oh, that's the moth. Okay. So just looking to see what else I've got in here that I might want to add some green on, because, you know, got more green on my paper. And I can even do some paint before I do the scraping, the stencil. Some stamps you can also use behind here. It depends on the stamps. The ones from PM Artist Studio, the foam stamps, work really well. Alright, I'm just going to let that dry for a minute. I'm just trying to see if I want to use some gesso too, because that's a potentiality if I know where I put it. I don't. Okay. So, let me dry this real quick, and then it should be mostly dry because it's super thin. Maybe go a little thicker where the words are if I want to. You can't see what I'm doing. Pay attention, Darcy. Oh my goodness. Alright. So that's just, you know, two layers, right? Because I did the sanding and then I did the paint. And I will add more to that in a minute. See, this one I thought would be good because it's already like a flip out because it's big. If I wanted to just use this as it is. Oh, and this stencil is one of my stencil designs at PM Artist Studio. It's Harry Scary, Spooky Harry. I don't remember exactly what we ended up calling it. It was based on my son's, a picture of my son's hair. He has curly hair. I know it just looks wavy there, but, you know, on the stencil. Where did my, oh, here it is. It's such a small piece. It's easier for me to use small pieces. So if I just go like this, I don't always like the way, so I tend to go the other direction as well. And like I said, the hardest thing is just holding the stencil in place. But if your stencil moves, that's not the end of the world either, because what are we doing? We are embracing imperfection. So, you know, my lines can go every which way. It doesn't matter. And like I said, do what I say, not what I do, and wear a mask. Especially once you put paint on it, because acrylic paint is what, little plasticky bits. Alright, so on this one, instead of paint, I mean, you could use a wipe or paper towel to wipe off the dust. That would make sense. I'm just spraying some distress inks on there. So this is crushed olive distress ink stain. And I'm just going to kind of wipe that to spread it around. And then that makes our lines more green. And if you're cutting this into small pieces, it's just kind of a cool thing to have. You can still see the picture behind if you want to see the picture behind, and if you don't want to see the picture behind, that's fine too. Or you could even avoid sanding any part of the picture that you want to keep. So I'm going to let that dry as well. So that's a couple layers there. And here, let's see, I had another stencil to use. I truly did. Alright, let's just use Grandma's buttons, because why not? There's two styles of Grandma's buttons. This is just one of them. And I keep putting this upside down, which makes it disappear. Yeah, I have a box of old buttons that I think were collected by my great-great-grandma. And my gram had them, and she gave them to me. And I had a picture of them, and I was like, ooh, what if I turn this into a... I get ideas from all over. So I turned it into a stencil design. And I think it's fun. I know people really like it, so I must have done okay. Alright, and my hands are a mess, I realize. Alright, and I've got some alcohol inks. Alcohol inks should be used in a well-ventilated area. As well, you probably know. This one is butterscotch, and I didn't pay attention to how Louisa did hers, because she added alcohol inks too, which is cool. And I'm also just going to spread that out because that's what I want to do. Just randomness with the, and then I've also got this mineral, alcohol pearl mineral, and I'll try to hit some of the areas that didn't get the butterscotch. Oh, I didn't shake it though, did I? What happened? It was going fine and then it stopped. Why? Probably because I didn't shake it. And so now there's little bits of mineral stuck in there. It's alright, I'll find a needle in a little bit. What else? Anything else? Let's see. What's this one? Celestial? Sure, why not? There's no blue on here. Let's add some random blue Celestial alcohol inks, because why not? I'm going to spread that one too a little bit, just to have it just be kind of in the background. So there's that one for now. Added some texture, some color. I might go ahead and take this stamp and just put where there's not a lot of pattern happening, just kind of do the circles for a different size pattern. Or let's see, yeah, right here. And that's why I don't worry too about if I have like a good all over pattern. It doesn't matter, because you can go in the spots where you might have missed and do a different pattern, and then that gives even more interest, which I like. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the crushed olive again in just a couple places, not everywhere. And just kind of dab that so that it, there we go. So that is much different than how it was, and it's just fun. Where's the one? This one I'm going to do a layer of paint on. I've got this Payne's Gray. So I'm going to start out with a layer of paint. I'm just going to scrub it on with a paper towel. Baby wipe would probably work better, but you wouldn't lose as much paint on the towel, but you can get a nice thin layer. With a baby wipe, spreading on paint. Because I still want to see a little bit of what's back there. I don't necessarily want to cover the whole thing. But, you know, I want it thicker in some areas and thinner in some areas as well. I was seeing if I have a wider scraper. That also might help. And I'm just using golden because golden is my favorite, and I just try to buy it on sale, or I buy it in a bigger bottle so it's less per ounce, because I know I'm going to use it over time, and it does last a good long time. Alright, there we go. You can still see just a little bit behind there. That needs to dry. This one's mostly white, so that's kind of fun. So did I do one where I inked it first and then, let's do that one. The ink doesn't want to sit on the paper, so that's why you kind of want to sand it first, I guess. But it will dry eventually, so it did soak into some places, so I've got some interest on there, and that makes me happy. Will this work? Let's try this little embroidery piece. I'm always trying different things. Oh yes, it works beautifully. Actually, I love that. Okay. Still need to send one of these to Patty. I promised her I would, and then I forgot when I sent her scraps. I will eventually. Right now, mailing stuff out is just feeling overwhelming. I don't know why, because I've got some cards and letters, whatever, that I want to write and mail out, and it just feels a little overwhelming at the moment. Is it because I overextended myself? No, I feel like I can do everything. It's just those little extras just feel like a lot at the moment. I don't know why. I could just leave it like that. I do like it like that. But I think I'll add some circles in the middles between the... So, you know, try what you've got. If you've got some stamps and stencils, try them. I do not find the clear silicone stamps to be very effective, just saying. I do have, let's see, this one, I think this one's been good. This is a trivet. I think I cut off the outside edges of it, and it is, oh yeah, it works great. But it's, you know, like a silicone trivet, so it's a little bit thicker than like stamps would be. But you can see kind of where just mixing up your different size. Can you see it? I don't know. It's interesting and fun. I don't know. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got our Red River. This is a bigger design, so it might work just fine. Let's try it with this. And I'm just still using the same piece. When it stops working for me, oh yeah, this piece works fine because it's because the pattern is large enough to be able to show, and there's not too much detail. So if your stamp doesn't have too much detail, I think that's the secret there, is to have stamps that don't have too much detail. And then this one is the houndstooth. I think it might. I don't know. I can't remember. I haven't done this in so long. So honestly, I just can't remember. Nope, that one does okay too. So the red stamps I think work a little bit better. And I'll show you some of the ones I was trying earlier that were not working. And that was these, the clear, these Bow Bunny decorative tile stamps. They have too much detail to work very well. At least I'll try them with the paint, see if it does any better. How about that? Because I only tried them on just the paper and not where the paint was. Pay no attention to the, oh, and this is craft paint, so, oh, it does work better with the paint. I get much more detail when the paint is there. Also, I might have been using I think I was using 180 before. So yeah, I guess most any stamps should work. With the 280 grit sandpaper. When I went to 180, not so good. So that's that. So these are face up the way, you know, this is where you would stamp. And then you could even, if you wanted to, take your stamp and actually stamp it on top too to get just like a layered look. Because why not? Let's see, how do I want to do it? Do I want to just offset it a little bit maybe? So I just kind of offset it just a little bit so that there's the stamp and behind it is kind of a shadow of, and it's also backwards. So because this is how I did the rubbing, and then it's flipped over. So this stamp is this background and this stamp is that background. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense? I don't know. Don't know if I am or not. But, you know, even just doing some stamping over the other things that you've done works as well. You will get holes sometimes, especially if you're rough. I'm being a little bit rough with it. So I had put some acrylic paint on here. Remember, acrylic paint is basically plastic, so you should be wearing a mask when you do this. I don't have a fan blowing, so at least there's that. And I'm getting big holes in it, and that's okay. I could use that part, and just something behind it will show through, or not use that part. However, you do get dirty. See, that's all the dust from the thing. You can see that there's definitely mess that happens. Alright, so this one, I want to add something. What do I want to add? Ooh, do I want to add like just, it's already orange. Do I want to add more orange? I don't know. It's quinacridone nickel azo gold. Why not? Why not? Just grabbing a credit card over here. Did I press? Okay, good. And I'm just going to use credit card or gift card or whatever. Just a scraper, a spreader. Which, because I did orange on orange, I'm losing a lot of the pattern. For making it more super subtle. But I might go over this again anyway with some other stamps. Yeah, it's I've lost it because I've done it so with the same color, which I know doesn't make sense, but that's okay. Yep, just gonna set that aside. All right, and if you've had one like this that you don't like the color of, well, then you do. You just take something else, a transparent, and you just put a glaze over it and see if you like it any better once you put a glaze over it. And you can use your gel plate, you can use a brush, or you can just use a scraper like this, do like a really thin layer, and totally changes it. And now it's mostly orange. The green is pushed back. The red is more burgundy now, mixed with the orange. And that's all good in the neighborhood. I still have some orange on here. Oh, I might put it on this blue one. I like blue and orange. It is a color combination I like. So this glaze that I'm putting over with this transparent paint is kind of like, well, it's turning the paints gray, more black, which I'm fine with. And it's pulling out some of the textures in the background as well, like, you know, just changing up how you see it. It's still a little bit damp, so let me just go ahead and I'm going to just splatter some water on it. Big drops of water, apparently. And I'm going to take a paper towel. I have paper towels, I know I did. And lift that up. I was hoping it would lift some of the paint up because it was still wet, which it might have. It's just not super obvious because it's dark on dark. Anyway, so that's what that one looks like now. I think this one is dry enough. What if I... should be dry. Probably will do nothing. I just figured if there's any paint on there that's still a little bit damp, I can pull it out. Alright, I should let this dry before I go sanding it some more. Just FYI. Will I? Oh, I don't know. Alright, you can still see a little bit in those dark spaces. Here's my sandpaper. Now, if you don't have a stamp and the thing you want, you can, maybe you'll have a stencil, or, you know, look for things around your house that could work. And I like that that kind of brightens it up a little bit just by pulling out some white. This one, well, these both could do with some brightening, couldn't they? Let's just go ahead and triangles with our circles. Why not? So I'm just kind of trying to sand where there's not circles, or I'm okay with overlapping patterns too. That is fine with me. And I had some green spray on this, right? That's why I'm getting more green than white, but it still is lightening it and distressing it. And just started with magazine pages. And that just added another layer, and that will be fun to use. What about this one? If you don't like the sound of the sandpaper, I apologize. You can fast forward, see what I do with this at the end. Probably should have said that sooner. That's okay. Ooh, let me try. I do have some damasks, so we'll see how that works. It's kind of small, that's the only thing. This one's small and hard to keep where I want it, but it will work. This might not stay straight the way I want it. That's alright. I have bigger ones, don't I? Yes, I do. I don't know. Ooh, we can do... got some daisies here. These are also in PM Artist Studio. One of my designs. Well, it's kind of a mix of mine and Brad turned it into a cluster. He likes clusters. He had told me I would have given one from a different position. Next time. So, there is that one. That was a red and green one. It was hard to look at. Now it's fun. Alright, I got some oranges and some dark blues. And what else have we got? So cute. There was some more oranges here that I thought I could just use for texture, and I might just use those as they are and not do anything. Isn't this a cool picture to use for something? Alright, sorry. I digress. Alright, let's pull these out and do something fun with them. Did I have another one that I had painted that I want to do more to? I don't think. Do I need this many? No, I don't. I know. Alright, so, oh, and I wanted to show that, yes, you can use any paint, you just need to put a really thin layer. So this is Master's Touch. It's a lime. What is it? Light olive. And see, when you put a really thin layer on, it's transparent. So even though it's not a transparent paint, if you put a nice thin layer on, it becomes transparent. So using a credit card is a great way to do that. And then you can also kind of vary where it might be more transparent in some places and less transparent in other places. You know, if you like to play with paints and inks and stuff, this is a fun project. And also, I was missing just playing, which I know I can still do with the prompts, but I've been kind of rushing through the prompts. I think that might be part of my problem, is I could do the prompts and still do my mixed media fun. Alright, that's fun. I like that too. This is why I like to use like a credit card, because you can get these interesting just bits happening here and there. Alright, we'll let that dry. And what color do we want to use on this one? That's more of the green. What is this one? Peacock feathers. I mean, it's already blue. It's not really going to do a whole lot, but if I let it set on there, it will do some things. It just needs to soak into the paper a little bit, and it'll give it a little bit of interest. It also may never dry. I don't know. I'm going to take this one and just kind of smush it on there, which gives us that on here. And that just needs to dry a minute. What do we have that we can work on while that dries? Good question, Darcy. Good question. I want some more blue. Oh, wait, this one is one we painted on and has, nope, let's just go ahead and press this one on here too to get a little bit more color. Ooh, we got some green on there from the other one. I like that. I like when stuff like that happens. Alright, now we get a little turquoise on this one. Could even put a little bit of turquoise on this one. Just nice and random. I like random. I like that. Okay. Let's see. The other ones we started with. Did I do that? Yeah, I did that one with you guys. This stencil, which is Magnolia Shadows, which is another one I like. Okay. So this one has some ink and just a little bit of paint. And I'm going to go ahead and use my sandpaper. I said this was 280 grit, right? Can I say that too many times? I don't know. I think I might need a new piece of sandpaper soon. When the sandpaper stops working, that's how you know you might need a new one. But I don't mind that it's also not working super great, because then I get a little bit more random. So that's where that one is at the moment. Let's pull out the painty one. Let's grab out a piece of... Alright, this is 120. This will really make a mess. I mean, it really scratches it up a lot, so I don't care for that one. What do I have here? This one is 220. So this one is not quite the 280. But maybe that's what you got. I say use what you have if you've got stuff. You know what I mean? Jelly bean. And I just get these full sheets from Amazon and then cut off a little piece. And then when that one's done, alright, this is still wet, but that's okay. I'm going to try to go around the places where I have the thick green. maybe. Because it's pretty thick paint there and it's still wet. Would be one reason. Alright. I don't know who is stomping upstairs. Usually my husband, but sometimes my dad rocks in his chair funny and sometimes it's him. Just saying. It's not always my husband. But it always is someone who is like not aware that I'm recording. It's rare. Oh, getting paint on my. What's alright? This is my studio sweater. If it gets a little something on it, it's alright. I really like. This is one of my favorite found objects to use. This little thing. I got these at Joann Fabrics in the embroidery section. They're just little plastic things. There's different shapes. I like these little round ones. I have a larger round one as well. But yeah, they're some of my favorites. You can do the whole thing. You can do just a little bit. Usually at least want to get the center. Alright, so we've got some of that bigger stencil, some of this stencil, and then, you know, circles. Because why not? Just like that with everything. Carrie says it's one of his. Carrie Griffiths. Carrie the Crafter. He says it's one of his favorites too. Hey, it only makes sense that stencils and stamps we design become our favorites because that's why we made them, so we could use them. And I say don't be afraid to mix your patterns and just have fun with it. Alright, so there's that page. You can't even tell what it was now. You did see it before, right? Now you can't even tell. Alright, let's see. This one, I want to do more with it. And some circles might be good. Especially where some of the pattern might not have come through as well with the other one. Or where the paint wasn't quite dry. And maybe some of this one too. And since, you know, I'm just kind of not doing the whole thing either, it definitely gives it a nice, worn, grungy look. Well, I guess we're half hour in. I should probably start thinking about making my flip out, right? Alright. See, this is already a flip out as it is, right? But I would want to cover this side, even if I use that like that. But I don't want to use that. Alright. So I had in this pile, this little pile of mine. Oh my god, let it shine. Might do some stamping as well. Oh, here we go. Forgot about that one and that one. Oh, and then we have just some patterns, black and white patterns on the colors. Might be fun. And that I thought just was kind of random and fun as it is as well as these bits. And then there's that. Too many options. That's the problem. And I thought about using him as well. We'll see. Ooh, that's, oh, good. We got, oh, we didn't do anything with this one. All right, this is the last one. We just got to do something with this one. This is the one I did the Payne's Gray on. I think it had some ink under it too. I don't remember. Do you remember? I don't remember. But just doing the sandpaper through it. It definitely lightens it up quite a bit. And then I could spray some inks from the back to, I think from the back will work. Let me try. I want to, oh, we'll do turquoise will work. Does it work? I don't know. Yeah, if I wet it from the front. Because I didn't want to change the blue on the front necessarily, although turquoise would be fine if it did. Let me wet that a little bit more. This will have to dry for a minute for sure. That's a lot. You don't need that much. I'm just kind of overdoing it. Alright, once that dries, it'll lighten up a little bit. But now, those little white bits are going to be turquoise. And let me get my heat gun and dry that real fast. Alright, I want to do a little bit more sanding on this one because I want to see if it's going to come through white or turquoise. Turquoise, I thought maybe it would, since that's what's on the other side coming through. But not everywhere. Somewhere it's more yellow. Probably because there's white on the back. Alright, it's still a little bit damp, but that's okay. And then I use this to pick up some of the thing. Okay. Regroup for a second. Give me just a second. This is what I wanted, because this was in the National Geographic, was this envelope. And I thought it might be a good base. It flips out like this, and it has a pocket if I want it to be a pocket, or I can just open it up and have it just be a long flip out. And I feel the same way that Luise does, that I don't see how it's easy to write on or do anything on once it's removed. So maybe I'll do a little tuck spot like she did. We'll see. Right now I'm just going to cover this. I'm just going to go wash my hands. Be right back. Okay, now we will just glue some pieces down, probably on both sides, just for background. I'm not too concerned about much anyway. I'm just randomly kind of pulling out some bits here and there. That can work. Alright. And just glue them on, because that's part of the fun. A lot of times I do prefer rectangles and whatnot, but you know, it's okay if it's not. Where am I? Where are my papers? Little pop of orange might be nice, which is why I pulled out the orange. Because blue and orange is nice together. They are opposite on the color wheel, so they should. I usually prefer, like, you know, a rusty orange, and a dark blue would be my preference for that. But that's just personal preference. That's all. You do you. I just want to kind of see how this turns out. That's all. I'll cut off any excess that happens. What if we do that, just that big flower right there on the edge? I don't know how big of a piece I need, but you know, let's just waste glue. That's fun. Okay, and something here. Ooh. I don't know if I want dark next to dark. Also, I don't want that. What about green? See, once you break it up and make it smaller, then it looks much different than as the page as a whole, I think is what I'm trying to say. This side is the side I want to glue, and there is my glue. Just throw things around on my desk A lot of times when people who normally are very organized can't find this stuff, I'm like, oh, you're channeling me today. You know, people like Carrie and Gail Augustinelli and Carrie the Crafter, they're nice and neat people. They don't suffer the same. Well, occasionally they might suffer the. Oh, not that one. I want that. Where'd it go? Just had it in my sights. There. This I like just for the texture. I just think that's really cool. So let's just tear some of that out. And do I want it in here or not? It's like a giant beehive. It's really cool. Alright. Alright, I'm going to glue that on and then I'm going to cut it around the edges and fill that one. I got one more spot on the front. I just don't know exactly what I want to fill it with. You know, right there in the middle. Right in the middle. But I think I can see better if I cut this off first. Alright, I'm going to bring a little bit of this green down to this corner. I do like to repeat colors if I can, or bits or whatever. There we go. And I've got two of those. I only have one of those, but that's right next to that. I might bring a little bit of that over here. Like right there. Feels good. Feels good, feels good, feels good. Feels like my eyeballs like it there. I'm going to bring it down a little bit because there's just nothing happening on that bottom part. So might as well just let it go, let it go. Alright, that weird phone you hear is my husband's work phone, just FYI. Let's see, where did my... I've got some different pictures I could use on here. There's this flower here, and then I also had all these like, little moths that are kind of cool too, which I could kind of just distribute. And then I also have that, well, that'll be the last thing. Let's just cut out some of these little framed photographs, old photographs, I'm assuming, because this is probably a magazine from like the 80s or 90s. Guess he's tacking it up there. I'm just going to ignore his hand because it might get covered up anyway. I'm just going to cut right around it. Cut all these little... I'm going to pause for a second while I cut these out individually. Alright, I added a couple pieces from this, and I might add one more, a little bit of a darker piece, just to bring the turquoise over there. Just a little bit. And then I also, if you remember those little orange flowers, I cut out some circles from those and some circles from like some tree kind of pieces. And I'm just trying to be random. I was placing them on here to figure out where I wanted them, and then I changed my mind. I was like, nope, I'm just going to try to be more random than that. And I don't have to use all the moths, so it's not that big a deal. Just kind of put these flowers here. Maybe put those flowers there. I think I had one more green one. Thought I did. Pretty sure I did. It's disappeared. Disappeared. It's alright, I can cut another one. It's not a big deal. Don't know why it had to disappear though. So yeah, this one had the... See, I did have a third one. I knew I did. I want the more green. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me find it. It was under the one. It was under one of the moths. No big deal. We'll just put it over here. Okay. Yes, I've got sticky all over me. So his hand is there. So that just means that this one has to go up over the top, basically, just so I can cut off his hand. This one is cut off on the side, so it's going to go just over on the side where it can then get cut off. And this one, same thing, just going to go on the other side and get cut off. I was going to try to cover that word, but it's not that big a deal. If the word is there, the word is there. I do want to try to cover up like where there's a lot of things coming together maybe. I might be able to put this one. It's okay if some of them are closer. I'm not spacing them perfectly. Perfection is not the goal here. I just like all the moths. I think they're sweet. They're dead, but hopefully they're just photographs. Then I don't have to think about them being dead. Let's say maybe one in the middle here. And I left their frames on them. And this one was cut off on the page, so it'll get cut off over here. Let's see. I don't want it to line up perfectly with that one up there, though. That's the only thing. Do I have any more moths? That's the question. I should have one with a hand on the bottom. Where is it? There it is. So this one can go down here and just get cut off down there. Yeah, I wish I had one more moth. I might have one more moth. Let me see, because I've got like an empty corner up there, which is not the end of the world as we know it, but you know, if I have another moth, that would be nice. I seem to think there was a second page of moths. Oh, and I was thinking about using him as well. Yes, there was another page of moths. I knew there would be. And then on the other side, there was, you know, that's got some paint on it. That just makes him perfect to use because why not use the one that has paint on it? Some kind of big display with just moths everywhere. Pretty sure they're moths, not butterflies. How do I know? Well, it's usually their antennae, which tells us. I don't want to cut him off. I don't mind cutting this one off, apparently. Alright, I'm just going to put that up in that corner with little scraps getting in my way. So, there we go. I'm going to cut off all the edges, then I can see what I've got and what I'm doing. And I think on this other side, I'm going to use one of the pages of the big moth, because I just think that would be fun to like open it up. You see all these little moths, and you open it up, and then you get this big giant moth. Oh, this big giant moth, maybe. Alright, let's see. I want as much of his wing as possible, but I don't... Alright, I don't mind losing a little bit of his body. Okay. He's not going to match up perfectly. It's okay. It's just going to be fun. Maybe I won't use the... What is that? Peacock. I'll just use the moths. They'll be fun. I'm using a piece of basically trash from the Uncommon Vision. I don't need the Uncommon Vision part, right? On there fairly straight. That's all I need to know. Is it straight? Pretty much. Okay. And glue on this side. It's going to have a tear in the middle. It could maybe even overlap it just a little bit. Might do that. There. Like that. Is that pretty straight? Let's hope so. Not even a little bit straight, but it matched up with the other one, so explain that to me. I'm just going to put it down. It's okay. Does not have to match up perfectly. Alright, trim around the outside edges, be right back. And since I didn't leave any writing space on this, I'm not going to worry too much about putting it in like Luisa did. But I will probably use Luisa's idea in the future. I liked her idea of having it flip out but having it removable. But him... Let's see, how do I want to do this? Let me find a page with already has a little flip thing. Might be helpful. Klondike? What would you do for a Klondike bar? Let's see. Nope, don't want that on the inside though, don't I? Don't mind me, I'm just over here trying to figure out how I want to fold this. Actually, I don't want that fold in, huh? Probably want to make sure it's completely dry before you start folding it like this, or you're going to get lumpy bumpies, just FYI. So, I don't mind if that sticks out a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to glue this part here down. I would usually use art glitter glue, but it's not in my line of sight at this moment. So I'm just going to use that. And could even fold that in. And then when you open it up, you've got the big moth that's there. It's very thick, just FYI. But it flips out, and I used old photographs from a magazine, but still. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with using old photographs from a magazine. Here we go. That's how it looks in the book. And then flip it out. I may end up adding, I wanted all this part to show. That was the part I worked on. That's the part I wanted to show. Here we go. I think that works. Alright, so there it is. That is my flip out for today. I can lay it across there and see the whole thing, or I could open it up like that and see the big giant moth. And he's still light enough. If I wanted to write on there, I totally could. Fold that in, fold that over. And that is the prompt for today, which was flip out page and old photos. There you go. I hope you guys have a delightful day. Love you.